The twin suns hung low over the horizon, casting long, golden shadows across the colony of Alara Prime. The sprawling settlement of metal and glass shimmered under the light, but there was a tension in the air that not even the beauty of the sunset could hide. Rumors had spread like wildfire. An alien visitor had arrived, and the colony was on edge. Iron stood on the observation deck, his hands clasped behind his back, eyes scanning the landing bay. As a diplomat and scholar, he had faced many unusual situations, but nothing had prepared him for this. The ship was unlike anything the human engineers had ever seen: smooth, organic curves of dark metal, seemingly alive, gliding silently onto the platform. The colony held its collective breath. From the ramp of the ship she appeared. Leora. She moved with an elegance that seemed both natural and otherworldly. Her skin shimmered faintly in the fading sunlight, and her eyes, enormous and deep, reflected a universe within themselves. The whispers among the colonists were immediate. Fear, awe, and curiosity collided in the murmurs that spread through the crowd. Iron stepped forward as the council had instructed him. "Welcome to Alara Prime," he said, his voice steady though his heart raced. "I am Iron. I am here to assist you." Her voice, when it came, was soft and musical, almost like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Iron," she repeated, testing the human word. It was correct, but her tone carried a weight of centuries, as if names themselves held power in her world. The colony watched in silence. No one moved, afraid to provoke this being whose presence was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Iron held out his hand, not with command, but with a gesture of peace. "Please step inside. We mean you no harm." He had brought with him a small gift, a token of goodwill from the humans, simple but carefully chosen. It was a crystal, delicate and clear, imbued with the light of their twin suns. It pulsed faintly, catching the last rays of sunlight and scattering them in a gentle rainbow. Iron offered it to her with an open hand. "This is for you," he said softly. A small gesture of friendship. She gasped, a sound so quiet that it almost went unnoticed, but it carried an intensity that made the entire colony shift uneasily. Leora lifted her eyes to meet his, and for the first time the humans saw not just an alien, but a being who felt deeply, painfully, and beautifully. A silence fell over the landing bay. The council members whispered urgently, unsure how to react, while the other colonists stared in astonishment. Then she spoke, not in human words, but in a language that resonated in Iron's mind more than in his ears. A single word, melodic and strange: home. He felt the weight of that word, the longing it carried. For a fleeting moment he understood what she had lost: worlds, people, histories that now existed only in memory. And he understood, too, that this was why she had come here. Not as an enemy, but seeking something or someone to anchor her in a new world. The council chair cleared his throat, trying to regain order. Are we to understand that this being is friendly?" he asked, his voice shaking slightly. Iron hesitated. The word she had spoken was not a threat, yet the intensity of her presence made it impossible to simply declare her harmless. "I do not know," he said honestly. "But I believe she seeks connection, not conflict." Light danced along the edges of her form, tracing patterns that looked like ancient symbols of power and memory. The humans stepped back instinctively, but Iron remained, entranced by the beauty and mystery before him. He could see it in her eyes. She was both fragile and immensely powerful. She was a creature who had endured pain beyond imagining, and yet she had the capacity to trust him, a human she had just met. That trust, delicate as it was, felt sacred. Iron took a careful step forward, lowering his voice. "You are safe here," he said. "No harm will come to you." Then slowly a smile, tentative, fleeting, but genuine, touched her lips. It was a smile that lit the shadows of the landing bay, and for a moment all fear seemed to melt away. The council members exchanged uneasy glances. They did not understand, could not understand, but Iron did, and in that moment he knew that everything about this encounter would change their world. Suddenly, a loud alarm shattered the quiet. Red lights flashed across the colony. Sensors had detected energy readings from her ship, not dangerous, but unusual enough to provoke panic. Colonists began murmuring in fear again, stepping back from the landing bay. Iron moved to shield her instinctively, placing himself between Leora and the crowd. "She is not your enemy," he shouted over the rising chaos. "Please do not act in fear." Instead, she lifted her head proudly, as if testing the courage of the humans who watched her so warily. Then she spoke again, the same word echoing softly in Iron's mind: home. And he knew with a certainty that startled him that their lives and the fate of Elara Prime would never be the same. For a moment, the suns dipped below the horizon, leaving the landing bay in twilight. Iron held the crystal tightly, feeling the warmth of its light and the weight of the moment. Leora stood beside him, a being from another world, her eyes reflecting stars that humans had never seen. And in that shared silence, the first seed of connection was planted. A bond that would be tested, challenged, and reshaped in ways neither of them could yet imagine. But for now, they simply stood together, two souls meeting across the vast gulf of space and time, daring to trust one another. And somewhere deep in the distance, the hum of the alien ship vibrated with a quiet energy, as if acknowledging the beginning of something extraordinary. The colony was silent, uncertain, yet captivated. And Iron knew, even before Leora's gaze met his once more, that this was only the beginning, because she had arrived. And with her, a new chapter of wonder, danger, and unexpected connection had begun. The morning after Leora's arrival, the colony of Elara Prime was alive with unease. The twin suns rose slowly over the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to crawl across the metal structures. Whispers filled every corridor, rumors spreading faster than the sunlight. Some called her a gift, others a threat. Few understood the truth. Leora was neither fully human nor fully alien. She was something in between, a presence that drew fascination and fear in equal measure. Iron walked through the central plaza, crystal in hand, its glow faint but steady. His mind was restless. He had spent the night thinking about the words she had whispered. Home. He did not know why it had resonated so deeply, but he could not shake the feeling that Leora's arrival was meant to change everything, not just for him, but for the colony. He found her at the edge of the landing bay, standing near the ship. She did not speak, only watched the rising suns, her silhouette outlined by the soft morning light. Even in stillness, there was a quiet power about her, a grace that made the air around her feel charged. "You're up early," Iron said, careful not to startle her. She turned her head slightly, acknowledging him with a faint tilt. Her eyes, vast and luminous, held a depth of emotion he could not begin to name. "The light, it changes here," she said, her voice soft. "It touches the soul. They are different from your homeworld. At least, as much as a stranger can." Most avoided them entirely, fearful of crossing some invisible line. But Iron noticed something subtle. Even as the humans murmured, they were drawn to her presence, as if an unspoken gravity followed her every step. By midday, Iron had arranged a small room near the colony's archives for her stay. It was simple, a bed, a table, a window that looked out over the vast desert plains beyond the settlement. He placed the crystal gently on the table, its light dancing across the walls. "This will help you remember or feel connected," he said, uncertain of what he meant exactly. But he could not ignore the pull of her presence, the silent need she seemed to carry. Leora knelt before the crystal, her fingers brushing its surface. "It hums," she whispered, a note of wonder in her voice. "The light, the warmth it speaks." But as the afternoon wore on, unease began to seep into the colony. Reports came in of minor disturbances, lights flickering in the upper quarters, systems behaving strangely, and some colonists claiming to see fleeting visions of unknown landscapes, mountains that glowed, skies filled with unfamiliar stars. The council convened immediately, their voices rising in tension. "She must be contained," one argued. "Her presence is causing instability." Fear and superstition ran deep in the colony, and an alien presence was enough to fan those flames. Meanwhile, Iron returned to Leora, finding her at the edge of the training grounds, observing the humans as they went about their tasks. "The colony is uneasy," he warned gently. She nodded, her expression unreadable. "I feel it," she said. "Their fear is contagious." She paused, her eyes distant. "I do not wish to bring harm, yet I sense that I already have." Then quietly she asked a question that caught him off guard. "Why do you trust me?" It was a silence full of weight, of understanding, and of unspoken longing. That evening, as the twin suns sank behind the horizon, the colony's unease grew. The lights in the upper quarters flickered again, more violently this time, accompanied by a low hum that seemed to echo from deep within the planet. Colonists gathered in the streets, murmuring anxiously. Iron found Leora watching the sky again. "Something is happening," he said softly. "The colony is frightened, but there is more." "The energy," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "It responds to me. I do not control it fully, yet it listens. But I feel power stirring. It awakens when I am near life, near hope or fear." As night fell, the colony gathered in the central plaza, seeking answers from their council. Iron stayed beside Leora, offering silent support. The air hummed with tension and anticipation. Every flicker of light, every distant sound, made the colonists whisper and glance nervously toward her. Then, without warning, the energy surged. A wave of light expanded from the crystal in Leora's hands, washing over the plaza. The colonists gasped as shadows danced wildly across the buildings. Some stumbled back, frightened. Some shielded their eyes. Iron moved to her side, holding her hand gently. "Focus on me," he said. "Do not let their fear guide your power. Do not let fear blind you." He had expected resistance, but the intensity of their fear was overwhelming. Yet he could not abandon her, not now, not ever. "Then we face them together," he said. "Whatever comes, I am with you." But as the night deepened and the colony's lights flickered in strange patterns, a realization settled over Iron. This was only the beginning. Leora's presence would not only challenge the colony's fears, but also reveal truths about her, about him, and about a universe far larger and more complex than they had ever imagined. The hum of energy from the crystal echoed softly, a reminder that something ancient and powerful had been awakened. And deep in the shadows of the landing bay, Iron felt a sense of inevitability, that soon everything familiar would be tested, and only courage, trust, and connection could guide them through what was to come. End of Part 2, Hook Cliffhanger. And it would not remain hidden for long the days after the energy surge passed slowly, but unease never left the colony. Rumors spread faster than ever. Some spoke of Leora as a guardian angel, others whispered that she brought a storm waiting to strike. Iron tried to calm the people, but fear was a difficult seed to uproot. The council grew restless, and it became clear that staying in the colony was no longer safe for Leora. "We must leave," Iron told her quietly one evening as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and violet. "If we stay, someone will try to harm you or worse, to control your power." "I have seen fear before," she said softly. "I have walked through worlds that do not want me, but here there is a connection. I feel it with you." The colony watched in silent awe as Iron and Leora boarded a small exploration craft designed to navigate the vast desert plains beyond the city. The engines hummed softly, but the tension was palpable. Whispers followed them as they lifted into the sky, disappearing over the horizon, leaving uncertainty behind. For hours, the craft moved across the barren landscape, a silent beacon in the desert. Leora studied the stars that began to emerge in the twilight. "These stars, they are like memories," she whispered. "They remind me of what I have lost. A place where memories and hope can coexist. It is like home." "I can feel it," Leora said softly. "The memories of my people, they linger here. The city remembers what the world has forgotten." Leora shared fragments of her past, tales of a civilization lost to war, of skies filled with alien light and cities that floated above oceans of molten crystal. Each story carried weight, and Iron listened, realizing the depth of her sorrow. She had survived when many of her kind had not. She had carried loss across the stars. "And yet," Iron said, "you have hope. You have the courage to continue, to trust even now." The city seemed to respond to Leora's presence. Lights pulsed gently, walls hummed faintly, and in the distance they could hear soft echoes that sounded almost like voices. Eventually they reached a sealed chamber, its entrance carved with intricate symbols that pulsed with energy. "This is important," Leora whispered. "The city's heart. It holds memories of my people, but it is dangerous." The energy was intense, almost overwhelming. Leora stepped forward, drawn toward a central relic, a crystal orb that radiated with the power of centuries. "The memory of my people," she breathed. "It calls to me. Together we can manage it." "Focus on me," he shouted gently. "You are not alone, you are here now with me." The glow of the orb dimmed slightly as she drew strength from his presence. The visions softened, becoming fragments rather than overwhelming waves. Iron felt the immense power in her, the same energy that had caused fear in the colony, and realized that her strength was not just in the magic she wielded, but in her courage to confront her past. Together they explored the chamber, learning to navigate the delicate balance between memory and present. Leora's powers responded to Iron's presence, their connection stabilizing the energy around them. It was fragile, delicate, but it worked. Hours turned into days. They discovered relics that held fragments of knowledge, maps of distant worlds, and records of ancient conflicts. Leora shared what she could understand, and Iron helped translate her experiences into human understanding. In the quiet moments, they spoke not just of the past, but of hope, of dreams, and of what a future could look like. One where humans and Leora's people could coexist, even if only symbolically. But danger was never far. The energy in the ruins was alive, and sometimes it reacted unpredictably. One evening, while exploring a corridor lined with glowing symbols, Leora suddenly stiffened. The walls pulsed violently, and a low, resonant hum filled the air. Iron grabbed her hand. "What is it?" he asked urgently. "The city, it senses my fear," she whispered. "Or perhaps yours, it reacts to emotion, to connection." "It tests us." Iron knelt beside her, brushing hair from her face. "You did it," he said softly. "You faced it, you controlled it. And we will face whatever comes next together." A soft whisper echoed through the room, faint and melodic, carrying words neither fully human nor fully alien. Iron held Leora close. "What is it saying?" he asked, his voice low. She closed her eyes, listening. Slowly, a word emerged, clear in her mind. "Awaken." Iron realized that their journey had only just begun. The past had awakened, and with it, powers neither of them fully understood. Leora opened her eyes, determination replacing fear. "I must learn," she said. "I cannot hide from this. It is part of me, and it can help protect those I care for." Always. End of Part 3, Hook Cliffhanger. Something beyond their understanding had awakened, and the next step would demand sacrifice from both of them. The alien city beneath Elara Prime pulsed with energy like a heartbeat, ancient and alive. Leora and Iron stood at the heart of the central chamber, gazing at the glowing orb that had awakened centuries of memory. The city's energy thrummed around them, both beautiful and dangerous, as if testing their courage, their trust, and their bond. "Do you feel it?" Iron asked softly, his hand brushing against hers. Leora nodded. "It is powerful, older than anything I have ever known, and yet I can feel it responding to us, to you. One wrong step, and the city may consume us, or worse, send the energy outward back to the colony." It was frightening, but also exhilarating. "I have feared my own strength for too long," she said quietly. "I thought it would harm those I care about, but now I see that it can protect them if I choose." Patterns of light spread through the chamber, connecting walls, floors, and ceilings in intricate designs. The hum of power was almost deafening, but she did not falter. Iron remained by her side, grounding her with his presence. "Trust yourself," he said, "and trust me." Memories of Leora's people flooded her mind, cities floating above crystal oceans, skies alive with alien stars, faces she had thought lost forever. The pain of loss rose sharply, and she stumbled, almost collapsing. Iron caught her instantly, holding her steady. "You are not alone," he said firmly. "You have never been alone. You are here with me. And I will not let go." Faint tremors passed through the ruins, but they were not destructive. Instead, the energy radiated outward like a wave of light and life, touching distant rocks, dormant plants, and even the atmosphere above the colony. It was a message not of danger, but of balance, harmony, and potential. Leora lowered her hands, exhausted but triumphant. "It is done," she whispered. "The city, it listens now. We are aligned. In ways I never thought possible." The colony above awaited their return, and many still feared Leora's power. The challenge now was not just survival, but acceptance. The next morning, they began their ascent from the ruins. As they emerged, the twin suns rose again, casting golden light across the desert plains. Leora's skin shimmered faintly in the sun, reflecting not just light, but the newfound harmony within her. The colony gathered to witness their return. Whispers ran through the crowd, some fearful, some awestruck. The energy from the ruins had reached the city, and subtle changes were visible, lights brighter, systems more stable, the air feeling cleaner, calmer. Iron stepped forward, holding Leora's hand. "People of Elara Prime," he called, voice steady, "you have seen power, you have seen fear. But you have also seen courage, trust, and choice. Leora is not your enemy. She is a friend, and together we can build a future where understanding guides us, not fear. I am part of this world now, and I wish to protect it and all who dwell here as I would have protected my own home." Over the following days, Leora helped stabilize areas of the colony that had experienced strange energy fluctuations. She worked alongside engineers and scholars, sharing knowledge that bridged human and alien understanding. Every interaction built trust, every smile softened fear. Iron watched her, marveling at how far she had come in so short a time. She had faced centuries of pain, confronted her own power, and chosen to connect with life rather than withdraw. And in return, he had learned the meaning of courage, empathy, and love in its most profound form. One evening, as the twin suns set once more, Iron and Leora walked to the edge of the colony. The desert stretched endlessly before them, quiet and golden in the fading light. "You've done so much," Iron said softly. "I am proud of you. Whatever comes, we do it side by side." And somewhere far above, beyond the horizon, the energy from the ruins of the alien city continued to hum softly, a gentle reminder that the universe was alive, watching, and waiting for those brave enough to understand it. Iron and Leora stood together, gazing at the desert and the horizon beyond. They did not know what challenges would come next, threats from distant stars, mysteries hidden in the ruins, or the reactions of other colonies. But they knew one truth above all. They had chosen each other, and that choice would guide them through the unknown. The crystal, now resting between them, glowed faintly. Its light mirrored the bond they had formed, fragile once, now enduring, a bridge between worlds and hearts. And as night fell, stars emerging in the sky above, Iron and Leora shared a quiet smile, a silent promise of courage, trust, and love. The journey was far from over, but for the first time they faced it not with fear, but with hope. In the depths of the desert, the ruins pulsed one last time that night, not with warning or threat, but with recognition. A presence older than time itself seemed to approve of what had transpired, the awakening of connection, of trust, and the courage to face the future together. The world had changed. They had changed. And together, Iron and Leora stepped into what would come next, not as alien and human, not as stranger and stranger, but as companions, friends, and partners in a universe that stretched endlessly before them. End of Part 4, closing image. Neither fully human nor fully alien, but something entirely new, it shone quietly, a promise of possibility. Iron glanced at Leora, and in her eyes he saw reflected the light of that star, a symbol of hope, love, and the power of connection. Together they walked into the night, ready for whatever the universe would bring.